It's your boy John Mike. Welcome to the Musician Mondays podcast, hosted by your boy John Mike, where we do interviews and we hit those relevant topics for musicians and producers. The Musician Mondays podcast, season 2, starts now. What's going on with you guys? You know who it is. It's your boy John Mike. We're back again with the Musician Monday podcast. The weekend is over, or as I like to call it, the week began, because most of us creatives and musicians and producers, our week does not begin until Friday. You know, so I call it the week begin. I don't even call it the weekend anymore, because we just do all our stuff, from gigging to church services to production work, all that stuff. We do it typically during the weekend, right? That's pretty much like how that flows.
That's how it is.
Yep. So I'm here today on Musician Mondays with two, what I like to call living legends.
Okay.
These are living legends, literally living legends. LeJuene Thompson and Cedric Thompson. I cannot believe that I have you here in my
brother.
It's an honor.
I can't believe that I got
Yes,
y'all
sir.
two here in the studio.
Thank you for having us.
Oh man, it's
Yes,
great.
sir.
So we got
Glad
a
to be here.
special topic that we're going to talk about today,
Okay.
and that is musicians and marriage. And I couldn't think of any better people to bring in than these two, because I think y'all just celebrated the anniversary,
31 years.
Woo,
Yes.
31 years.
in the industry.
Yes, sir.
31 years of just not even in the industry, just the fact that y'all have made it 31
Listen.
years.
Bless our hearts.
Yes.
Bless all y'all
Thank
hearts.
God. Yes, only
This-
by His grace.
It's crazy. So 31 years of marriage, and how many children?
Three.
Three
boys.
children, three children, 3 boys, and
Yes.
now y'all got grandchildren. What's
Yes.
like 3
4
grandchildren?
grands.
4 grandkids.
Yes. Lord.
4 grands.
That is
Four.
amazing. So I wanted to bring you guys on because I thought this was an amazing topic, because you know, we were talking a little bit before how, like, in the industry, it just chews up and spits out marriages and relationships. And so the fact that, you know, you, Cedric, being a producer and a musician, you still had to be a father.
Right.
You still had to be a husband.
Most definitely.
You still had to be a provider.
Yes.
While you're touring, while you're doing all these records, and
Exactly.
meeting all these deadlines.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Lord
y'all
Jesus.
doing ministry. You got Sundays, you got Sunday morning service, you got choir
Lord.
rehearsal, you got praise team rehearsal, you got Sunday through multiple services on Sunday. I'm
It's
sure.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and then same with you, LeJuene, having to be a mother,
Yeah.
having to be a wife, having to be all of these things, to all of these other people, being all, you like Paul, all
Oh,
things
Lord, to all men.
to all men, that you might win some.
That's right.
So
Yes.
I wanted to bring you guys on to talk about that journey. What is that journey? Well, first off, let's start with something very simple. How did you guys meet? How did this
Lord.
all
Oh, wow.
come together?
You want to start?
Well, so I was playing with then John P. Key.
Oh, wow.
He's Pastor John P. Key now. And at the time, I think I had already been there with roughly about almost a year. And they were talking about this young lady who was coming back. And I didn't know who she was, but even before I started playing with him, I'd heard the voice.
Oh, wow. The voice.
That's funny.
I did. It was on his recording. It was a recording they did. I think the album title was "Brethren in Unity."
I remember that
Texas.
record.
Oh, Lord.
Good.
So
I'm still a baby, but I'm
You own it, Dad.
I'm
You own
right
it.
in that. I'm right in that space. I'm right in that space. I'm an
Okay.
'80s child. So,
Okay.
So she came back, and at first we didn't like each other. We did not like each
I
other.
couldn't stand him.
No, and
I didn't.
And,
I'm going to let him tell his part.
yeah. So she always says I was arrogant.
Was. He was.
I wasn't. That was just a misunderstanding.
Okay.
So
His arrogance was a misunderstanding.
Thank you.
Misunderstood arrogance.
Misunderstanding.
I'm not arrogant. I'm just misunderstood.
So
I got it.
So I think we were on a bus trip. I think it was, and Tina. What was Tina?
Tina Morrison.
Tina Morrison.
Yep. God rest
her soul.
Oh, wow.
You know, I had started taking a liking to her, and I think I told her.
You told her.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And you know, from there, you know, she actually passed the message on.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to take it from there?
Yeah. So we did a stop. A food stop or something.
Yep.
We were somewhere in Kentucky.
Yep.
And he said something. I was like, don't nobody like you anyway. So I'm like, she's like, you know he really do like you. So I stood there, I was like, bye. Like, whatever. So it was just so funny because she kept telling me, June, he like you. He like you. So she said, that's why he getting on your nerves and all of that. I was like, okay, well, whatever. But it still took us maybe a few months before we started dating. I think it was.
Yep. Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah,
it was
a few months before we started dating.
And ironically, before we got married, you know, I remember I wrote a letter to her, and I said, I told her, your last name is going to be Thompson.
Wow.
You know, and shortly thereafter, she became
Mrs. Thompson.
Miss Thompson. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. See, the man that I think this is a universal thing from what I've understood before. At least a lot of people that I talk to. It seems that the man always knows before the woman does. And I don't know if that's just the way God designed it.
Well, it is. Yeah. He that finds the wife. Yeah,
that's right.
That's scripture.
That's got to be how he designed it. Because me and my wife, I knew the day I saw her.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I knew that she was, because I had prayed. It was a prayer, and I tell it on another occasion, but it was a prayer that I prayed. And I just told God in that prayer, when I see her, I want to know it's her.
Wow.
And when I saw my wife, I knew that was her. It took me 3 years to convince her that.
Okay. Yeah. She wasn't having it.
She was not having it.
Oh, wow.
But the moral of the story is we got married and had 6 kids.
Listen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
You know, but we went through that. But that's an amazing, just so marriage, and then now, but y'all were both still in building careers in the industry at that point in time, right?
We were.
Absolutely. We were still both with Pastor Key. And then we left there and moved to Fayetteville, North Carolina, and we both started working in the ministry.
Right.
Wow.
So those were probably, if I were to say, the hard times, because we're both teenagers. We were 18 and still have, formative years.
Right.
And then I will say that the ministry we was in was not that productive for marriages.
Right.
So, and we learned that later. Like probably in year 20, 15 to 20, those years. But there is an importance of being in a ministry that supports marriage.
Absolutely.
Because that one didn't, and not to throw anybody under the bus, but we understand that importance now.
Yeah.
And raising a family. Because at that time we didn't understand the order of God. We thought it was church, God, church, and everything else.
Yeah.
Because we were there. We have been trained in every aspect of ministry. We cleaned the church.
Exactly.
We were there. I mean, we did every area of church.
Yeah, church was
ministry.
our life.
It was our life. Like we lived a block from the church, so we would open the church.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it wasn't praise and worship then. It was testimony service. We were there from the time.
Cutting grass.
I mean, cleaning the church, everything. And so, in that, I thank God for a little bit of sense, because I learned early on, I was like, you know what, I'm packing these kids up and we going home.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to be here all night.
Come on.
And it was that kind of church, where we were there, like all night, but literally.
Yeah. We actually, the funny thing, and most people are in awe when we tell them this, but our firstborn, CJ was literally 3 days old.
3 days old.
Or 3 days young, however you want to put it.
Yeah.
And we were on our way traveling with the church to Virginia.
3 services. I did 3 services.
Yep.
And
After having 3 days after having a baby.
3 days.
3 days. 3 days.
Get back on this stage.
Get back, snap back, whatever you want to call it. And,
Man.
and it's just no time. You know,
I mean,
hindsight teaches us a
man.
lot. Yeah.
3 days.
3 days.
I mean,
so
now the
CJ's been in church all of his life.
literally.
Yes,
He was
3
literally
days
born in.
Yep.
Born in.
We were traveling with the church of Virginia. Yeah,
He was born in.
sure was.
I mean, at least I know the old mothers and stuff. They used to tell you, like, baby,
Yeah.
you better.
Nah, the mothers was pushing me
They
too.
was
I
pushing,
was
yeah.
surprised because I was like, oh, I get 6 weeks off.
No.
Nope.
3 days.
Shabu, 3 days. I got out the hospital that Saturday. I think I rested that one day. And Sunday, it was all 3 services.
Yeah.
Now
All 3.
I see why. Now I see why. Said you say bless your heart all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bless
Yes.
your heart. Bless your heart.
Literally.
Bless
Yeah.
your heart.
Bless your heart.
My God, that is
But-
amazing.
Those early years really taught us a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and especially getting to know each other. 'Cause we only dated a year before we got married. And then
But how long before kids came along?
2.
Was it 2 years?
Yeah,
Okay.
2 years.
See, I had a little year in there. Okay.
About 2.5.
2.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, CJ's what, 28? Yeah, 2.5.
I got 2 weeks before we was married for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we found out we was pregnant.
Oh,
2
y'all
weeks.
started being fruitful.
Man.
Listen,
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Yep.
obey the commands of the word.
Right.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, listen, hey. But I think, again, it was God's design because we had to learn each other. And I can honestly admit that I was probably the biggest part of the problem because I was the mean one. I wanted to fight, and he's still calm and even tempered, and when I want to carry on, and he would just be like, really. So the early years, I would say from year 1 to 15.
Yeah.
What would you say? Year 1 to 15. Yeah, we had
Probably
a lot of.
year 1 to 15.
Yeah.
We were, like she said, learning each other. And the thing was, as well, is especially with us being married at such a young age. I was raised by my grandparents.
Okay.
And so even though they were always there for me, they didn't necessarily like give me the training ground.
Wow.
Of teaching me. I mean, they taught by just being examples.
Exactly.
Right.
That's that generation. Yeah. That's that generation.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
But we didn't know the importance of credit. We didn't at that time. We didn't know the importance of saving.
Yeah.
And being treating your money well with good management, management in the whole nine. So we struggled in that department.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But just by the grace of God, He kept us in, and at some point, once those kids started coming, we
Yes,
was like,
Lord.
listen,
That'll teach you. Kids will teach you fast.
yes,
Kids
sir.
will teach you really fast.
We need to say this funny, especially for us, man. Because like I said, I told you, we got all these kids. So we had, at one point, we had 3 kids in diapers, and 4 kids in diapers,
Okay.
and 3 on the bottle.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was going to the store every day. We out of this.
Right.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
we understand.
Yeah. So kids will teach you
Oh, yeah.
teach
They
you
will.
real
Yeah.
fast how to be responsible,
There you go.
able to respond.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
So we would do. So from there with that journey, when did y'all move into Tri-City and all of that stuff, and how did that transition and stuff kind of happen?
So we actually we had I'm gonna back up just a little bit
Okay, back
before
up a little bit.
Tri-City, just to lead up to that. So
Okay.
we had this group. We were in this group called the Promise,
Okay.
and actually that the birth of that group actually came out of the idea of LeJuene actually doing a solo record.
Okay.
So this producer by the name of Patrick Henderson
Okay.
heard LeJuene.
familiar with West Angeles when they started doing the first series. What was it? The Praise and Worship series.
That.
When that first broke. Yeah. He was he was the producer behind all that.
He was a minister of music at West A.
West A.
Wow.
At the time. So he heard. I think he heard you on a project with Jimmy Thomas.
Jimmy Thomas.
Wow.
And he wanted to set up a meeting, and so we met with him. But at the time, LeJuene and I, we both felt like
I wasn't ready.
She wasn't ready, to go solo.
Yeah.
So we had a group that we had just started called The Promise. So we threw that idea to him. He heard the group and signed the group to his production deal. He had a production deal with Word Records.
Okay, yeah, Word, yeah.
So out of that, I had there was a song that I had done called Magnifying.
Okay.
And I recorded it with the group, but I didn't think the record was actually going to come out because the record label Word Records, they were going through some changes at the time, some structural changes, personnel changes. So everything was on hold, and it was on hold for a while. By me not knowing whether or not if the record was going to come out, Women to Chester had done the song. They performed the song in the whole nine. Someone actually taught them the song.
Wow.
And so they wanted to record the song.
Okay.
They recorded it on their record, and the week after, I received a call from Donald Lawrence. He was working on an artist, Rodney Posey.
Okay.
It was his first record.
Okay.
And Donald heard the song, and he wanted to use the song for Rodney's record. And I told him literally, Women to Chester had just recorded it, so he wanted me to come up with a tune that was similar. So I came up with this tune called "The Praise." And while he was mixing the album, he invited LeJuene and I to come to Charlotte and sit in on a mix with him. And during that time, he asked me to become a part of his production team. At that time, it was him and Kevin Bond.
Okay.
So I became a part of the production team, and then shortly after. How long was it?
I was tagging along, so I was the tag along. But maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure. Cause
it was about a year and a half.
Maybe about a year and a half. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was tagging along. So I don't even know. Donna was like, "Come up here and sing with us," and so that's how all of that started. Because I was actively traveling with The Promise. The record came out, and we were
y'all were doing that.
Really making some moves. And who was I pregnant with? Chris? I think I was pregnant with Chris.
You
so
were.
A little bit after I had Chris.
It was Chris.
I started.
Wow.
Yeah, I started with Tri-City. Yeah, so that was 94? 94, yeah.
Wow.
Yep, sure was, yeah.
So,
So since that, so that's how we formed our relationship with Donald.
Yeah.
And it just kept moving from there,
Wow.
Yeah.
So, kind of speaking to getting into, because I wanted to lay some history, because it may be some people that just don't know your background, and where you come from. So I actually talked to somebody over the weekend, and I was telling them, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be doing a podcast with LeJuene and Cedric. He was like, LeJuene who? And I was like, LeJuene Thompson. Oh, LeJuene Thompson? I was like, yeah. I said, yeah, it's what. He's like, I didn't know they was married.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I still get that now.
Really? People still
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's what the guy was like. He's like, I didn't know. Yeah.
That's funny.
I was like, they're married.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my boo.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Baby
He
daddy.
was like, I never put two and two together. Never put two and two
That's
together.
funny.
So I know it may be some people that,
Okay.
it may be some other people out there that are looking at this podcast or
Right.
listening to it and saying like, I didn't know that they was a thing.
Yeah, so this is my boo right here, y'all.
Right.
So
Silly. Right.
you know what I'm saying. So I just wanted to give that at least that context in there, so those who didn't know.
Absolutely.
But now to speak to what we the core subject that we got in. What have been some of the challenges that you face? Because we talked about, like, on the front end, how, you know, this industry just spits up. I mean, it chews up and spits out marriages.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people, just a friend I talked to the other day that's getting ready to go through a divorce. They've only been married maybe 3 or 4 years, and they're in the industry, and it's just like the industry just tore it apart.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, because of obligations and the pull and the push of trying to do both ministry and music and production. And you guys have obviously 31 years have made it work.
Yeah.
So what have those challenges been, and how did you overcome them?
Did you jump in as well?
Okay.
But I'm gonna tell you, at first it was really finding that balance with time management. You know, because with both of us being in the industry, you know, even though we understand and know what each other do, of course, you know, but with both of us having sometimes demands on our schedules, you know, it takes us apart a lot. Yeah. So that was a challenge, and it really became a vital part for me to actually really kind of slow my schedule down when I was coming off the road. I was coming off of a tour, and I was coming home in time enough to actually wash clothes.
Wow.
Because I was getting ready to go out for another week for a session. And what hit me like a ton of bricks was our youngest son, Chandler. I went in to see them off, you know, school and whatnot, and he asked me, he said, "Dad, what are you doing here?" And I said, "What you mean?" He said, "I didn't think you lived here." And when I tell you, that hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah,
I just found that out.
Wow.
A few months ago.
Yeah, they hit me like a ton of bricks, and I said, then, you know, I can't continue. Yeah. You know, to keep moving like this, and then miss this part of our kids' lives. Yeah. And then not being there, you know, for my wife and the whole time. So that's when I started, you know, to build my spot in terms of the studio, and I started coming off the road. Yeah. And but we even in the midst of all that, you know, we always make sure that we pray together. Yeah. Yes. You know, every day.
Every day.
Wow.
You know, we make sure that we pray together. You know, we get that time in, and then we have to. You have to block out. You know, other people. You know,
that part,
and then
that part,
and then just make time for each other.
Yeah.
You know, because music. I mean, just like we were saying earlier, you know, we've seen music destroy marriages, you know, destroy relationships. Yeah. And it could be, you know, I mean, unintentional, you know, but you're doing something that you love to do.
Right.
But then, you know, because even if, you know, because you're trying to provide for your family.
Exactly.
But then, you know, after so long, if you're not careful, you know, and not prioritizing right,
that part, yeah,
then, you know, you find yourself, okay, you're doing all this work and your family jacked up.
Exactly.
You know, so you know, those are the challenges in the whole nine.
I would definitely say that number one is that time thing, because in life the only thing that you cannot recoup is time. Yeah, so once that time is gone, and especially for children when they're impressionable and in their formative years, when you miss that time, we, like he said, we learned that early on. We kind of figured out how to balance, you know, who's gone when, and then there were some times when we both had to turn down opportunities, and
I can imagine.
Yeah, and he taught me something. He said, all money ain't good money. And if the sacrifice for us became greater than the return with money, it's just monetary things. Right. You know, if that was, no, I'm not going to sacrifice my family or my kids or missing school events, programs, and things like that. We had to figure out, okay, God, you know, we understand that family means more than this.
Exactly.
And so we found a way to balance that. And then the other thing was we had to figure out who our village was. Okay. There were certain people we wouldn't leave our kids with. And they were good friends to us. They were good friends, but we just would not. Certain family members. I have a huge family. I have 9 siblings. Wow. So we just had to balance, you know, and then it all has to go back to prayer. Even when I was mad as fire at him, mad, we still had to figure out, okay, I'm still mad at you, but we gonna pray. Right. Wow. Whether he's out of town, he gonna call me, all right, I'm mad at you, all right, bye. Wow. Let's pray, bye. Exactly. So I can honestly say that prayer has been a firm foundation for us. That's good. One thing that has really helped us maintain structure. And I think even with the hard times when our boys saw us struggling or saw, you know, situations where, you know, when people didn't pay you or things like that, the element of prayer and trusting God, that's been a huge foundation for us.
And now, a word from our sponsors. This episode is sponsored by GospelProducers.com. Gospel Producers is a website with courses from some of the top award-winning producers and engineers in the gospel industry, like Yosh, AyRon Lewis, Jamel Kimbrough, and many more coming soon. Follow the link in the show notes to enroll in one of their courses now and get 5% off the enrollment fee by using the promo code 5OFF at checkout. Now, back to the show.
The other thing I would say is it's a lot of moving parts to marriage.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think that even in this climate where people, you know, 3-4 years, they giving up. I remember one time I got mad at him, and then I looked around the house. I said, wait a minute, I pay for that. And this going to be too much to try to divvy up. Right. This going to be too much to try to, we got 3 boys. This going to be, so it was easier to fight through it than to give it up. Yeah. So I think,
as my dad would say, it's cheaper to keep her.
Cheaper to keep her. Yeah. And I don't know if that mentality, I don't know if, you know, I don't know what the couples are thinking. And I think our society and our culture has made it just so convenient. Oh, I can, let me just go find another one. Yeah. Exactly. Let me just go get a new boo. I can't put that kind of work in to find this. No, I'm not doing that.
It's that microwave generation.
Yeah, that microwave generation. And the marriage does take work. It takes work. You got to put the work in. And if, you know, if you're praying for a mate and your soulmate, then you've prayed for that. You ought to be able to have enough sense to maintain what you prayed for.
I know that. Yeah.
And so, it's just a whole lot of moving parts for us. But if I were to say, those would be my 4 main things, and then figuring out and understanding the order that God has commanded for us is God, then family, then everything else.
Yeah. And we God and church is not the same.
It's not the same thing.
Not. Me and my wife had to learn
We had it twisted for years, you know. We would be at the church 24/7, kids falling asleep in school, grades, you know, we got to go to the school because they sleepy, and because we done kept them out 12, 11, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, y'all in here shouting. These kids got to go to school.
Yeah, they do.
So it took us, you know, and for me, I'm the more vocal one. He'll just do his and be quiet, but I'm going to say something. And so I started being labeled as rebellious because I'm not coming. No, and that's just, you know, the sensible thing to do. But the order of God says, listen, if this is going to weigh heavily on my family and cause this to break, that's why there are no successful marriages in this church. Yeah. So I'm not following down this road. I'm not going down this road.
That's wisdom.
Yeah, it is. And I thank God for the fortitude to even be able to take that stance, because now I think a lot of times I'll see, marriages that are, if you've had a cold, you know how to spot somebody with a cold, and you see it on the way, and you be like, just this is not the will of God for your life. This is, you know what I'm saying?
Let it go.
So I just thank God that we learned that before it was too late.
Yeah.
And I thank God. And as he said, I didn't have an example of a good marriage. My mother and father divorced when I was 2 years old.
Wow.
So, and it was very bad. I remember when my dad would want to pick us up, we had to walk up the street to meet him because they could not get along.
Wow.
At all. And so I thank God that somewhere along the way, he, and I do know this, there's a reason that it's illegal for you to take other people's medicine. There's a reason. Yeah. So we had a lot of advice. Oh, y'all should do this and y'all should do that. I can't take your medicine. We had to figure out what worked for the Thompsons.
Yeah,
there's a reason. And and there may be some medicines that you can just across the board cookie cutter. But when you have parts that are intricate and things that the dynamics are different and the variables are different, that ain't gonna work for us.
You need the right prescription.
We need a specific prescription.
And we do what worked for us.
We started doing what worked for the Thompsons.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Man, that's a load right there. just trying to just chew on that, because that's a lot. I mean, me and my wife personally, we have had to, like you said, find that prescription that works with us. And I had a situation similar to what you said with you said with Chandler, where you come home and he's like, but for me, it was more so missing a lot of those key moments.
Right.
Like what I do, I travel so much with seminars and workshops and conferences and, teaching over here and doing production over there and doing this and getting with this person. And so I think it was in 2018, I missed 4 of our kids' birthdays.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like I was on their birthday, I was somewhere else.
Okay.
Wow.
And, we would try to celebrate a week before, the weekend after, or something like that to, make sure that they got celebrated. But it's not being there on that day set a precedence in their mind. And one of my sons, they were talking about, I overheard a conversation, and they were talking, and he was like, well, we're going to do this on my birthday, and we're going to do this, and we should ask Daddy if we do this. And then I overheard him say, I don't know why you wondering about that. He's like, Daddy probably ain't going to even be here on your birthday.
Oh, wow.
And so when you hear that, it's like that heart wrenching. So in 2019, I just shut everything down. I think I went maybe I went to the Stellars.
Okay.
I went to NAMM.
Yeah.
And maybe 1 or 2 other places.
Yeah.
But as opposed to 18, where I was everywhere every month. Yeah. I was going 2 or 3 places every month sometimes. Yeah. So I just had to back off and shut it down. And my wife, of course, she was holding it down because, this family, she's the wife is the glue of the family.
Yeah.
And so, of course, she was holding down. But then I had to look and see the stress, everything that was in. So it's like a backup. And then this year has flowed a whole lot better.
Wow.
Just because of those decisions to kind of, like you said, kind of break it apart and just say, look, I can do this. And like I said, all money is not good money. All money ain't good money that you're trying to go and get. If it's going, it could end up costing you more than you make.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty much what we learned, in that respect. But it's just, like I said, what you guys have built, I think is just strong. So is there any kind of other advice, any kind of other things like that you would really give to that young producer or that young singer or that young musician that's getting married and they're popular, everything's popping in their life right now? Yeah. What would you if you had to tell them anything, what would you tell them?
Yeah, this sounds so cliche-ish, but make sure that you incorporate God in everything that you do. Even if it seems like it's minute. The Bible says, in all thy ways, acknowledge him. So we take that all thy ways, for granted. but I find that even as simple as even before you getting into your car,
Wow.
Pray over yourselves, with that, and like I said, make sure that you're able to be sensitive to the needs of your mate.
Yeah.
And know, when it's time, to drop the music and drop everybody else, block everybody else out and listen, I got to put this time into my marriage. We need to spend time with each other, spend time in prayer, find ways to keep fueling the fire.
Right.
Because we can get to a point that we just become complacent with each other, and even though we think we know each other, but we come so familiar with each other that it's like, hey, I see you every day.
Exactly.
So in that, as a producer, especially in marriage, just make sure, like I said, that you're praying with your spouse, and in that, make sure that you don't let the music get into the way, of your relationship, because like I said, it can destroy relationships. And I tell you another thing that I found that was challenging for me, even though it was beneficial for me to build my own spot in terms of the studio, but you also have to be careful with that, because even now, I find myself, all night, spending those all-nighters in there because you have unlimited time.
Exactly.
And a few times, LeJuene walking past there, giving that eye.
All right.
I know what that eye means.
Yeah.
So
I'm learning that now. I'm this that you speaking right. You in the kitchen as the you right where I'm at right there. Because since I built all of this down here, my wife she'll text. She's a text. She'll text. You still working?
Yeah. When I get that. So
I know what's up.
So in that, in terms of the relationships, those would be my advice, and then just from a producer, learn how to create and be yourself. It's fine to admire others, because we all glean from each other.
Exactly.
But in that, God, when I actually stepped out on my own as a producer, God had mandated me years, at least 3 years before I had done it. And my wife also, she ministered to me and actually told me the same thing that God had mandated for me to do, to step on my own and to remain true to who I am, and not to be a counterfeit, be the best Cedric I can be.
Wow.
So in that, don't lose yourself and don't become a counterfeit, and become someone else, because they've already set the path for themselves.
Exactly.
So
I love it.
So in that, again, that's not to say that you don't admire,
right,
others, but make sure you're able to find yourself in what you do.
Love it.
I would say everything he said. One thing that's very important is when you're trying to balance a marriage and music ministry / industry, you have to be intentional about who you surround yourself with.
Okay.
Because a lot of people, and in this climate and culture, again, we're so gung-ho on branding and hyping everything up, and then we're not being sensitive or discerning on who's around us and why they're around us.
I like that.
We've had some instances where early in our marriage, we had people that were trying to attach themselves to us and their motives were not pure, whereas our marriage was, they were trying to be disrespectful. And that is a thing. People do that. I would say please be intentional and mindful of who you're surrounding yourself and where you go, and have an accountability partner. He's my accountability partner as well, but I have a best friend. She's married, so we hold each other accountable.
I like it.
That level of accountability, even when you aren't aware, when your discernment is not as clear as it should be, and you're in a situation that you might need to go the other way. You know, just discernment, accountability, intentional about what you're surrounding, and then this whole branding yourself. You know, I get it. We get it. We get it. It's industry. It's music. It's, you know, aside from ministry, I think we hype so much stuff up.
Exactly.
Until we lose who we are we lose who we are.
Yeah.
And then that will affect marriage as well. A lot of this is smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. So just, as he said, prayer, and for me, having a strong sense of discernment, and that's only fueled by prayer and seeking God to see, okay, God, this looks like a great opportunity.
Right.
But is it a good opportunity for me? Is it a good opportunity for my family? And how will this impact my marriage? That's how all of that plays together.
That's good.
So if I were to, those would be my last things. Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, it's amazing to hear your journey, number one. Both of you coming from a space where, like you said, we didn't really know how to be married. You know, nobody taught us how to be married. You had to learn how to be married. And I think that's the thing, a lot of, especially in this day and time, and this whole self-help and do it yourself and this whole self-care, all of this stuff, this self-stuff thing that's going on. It's all about self. We get selfish in the middle of it all. You know what I'm saying? And we don't understand what the needs of our partner, the needs of our spouse is, because we're so focused on what we need and what we want and what's good for us and all of those things like that, and we don't adhere to those things, those basic biblical, those basic just common sense principles with money and finance and spending time and all of those different things like that. We miss those, and I tell a lot of people that, you know, the word, when you look at the word marriage, it's broken into 3 words. The first word is mar, and then it's got I in the middle of it, and then the last part is age. So mar is disfigure, I being yourself, and age, you know, your state of getting older. So as you get older, you're in a marriage, you're marred as I age. So as you get to a point in marriage where the two become one, where you as an individual is not recognizable, and you're really seen as one. The I gets marred out of that as you age. That's good. And it just becomes the 2-1. You're seen as a unit. That's good. And so it's not Cedric anymore, it's not LeJuene anymore, it's Cedric and LeJuene. You know, it's not John anymore, and it's not Tamon, it's John and Tamon. You know, and that's the way, you know, God meant for it to be.
Exactly.
And I think if we get to those foundational, back to those foundational principles, like your guys laid out, prayer, spending time with each other, knowing what's good, what's a good thing, you know, and what's a God thing, and what's a good thing, and what's a you thing, you know, and taking the selfishness and all of that out of it, and really thinking about your family above all things. And I think we'll be in a good place. But this has been amazing. This has been amazing. I appreciate you guys, and I know people that are watching and listening appreciate you sharing this journey that you guys have been on. And I hope that something that we said or you guys said will help somebody else that's in that decision place, or that's in that place where they're not even recognizing that they're heading to a brick wall.
Yes.
You know, and that's what we want to do is just help these people make a detour so we can save more marriages and save more families. And I think that's the biggest point of it. So I wanted to give you guys opportunity to share your social and how people can connect with you, how they can, if they want for production work, if they want musician work, if they need you to come sing in a program, or if they need you to come sing, do a feature on an album, you know, whatever. You know, y'all get that information, how they can get in contact with you.
I'm across Facebook, Instagram at Cedric Thompson, and if you're needing to contact me as well, you can reach me at cedric@cedricthompson.com. And before LeJuene gives hers as well, look out for We Us.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you got the exclusive because we hadn't announced it yet.
Yeah, we haven't announced it yet.
So, we're doing a record.
Oh, We Us.
Yeah, Ced and June.
Now I see what now the hashtag makes sense.
Yes, yes, We Us. We
Okay,
Us.
We Us.
Yes, that's the record.
Good job.
I am the official LeJuene Thompson on Facebook. LeJuene Thompson _ Madam Butterfly on Instagram and Madam Butterfly on Twitter. And email is LeJuene@LeJueneThompson.com.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us just for a little bit of your time. I hope that today's podcast was able to really bring some insight and some help in all of those things to you guys. And I appreciate our guests, Cedric and LeJuene Thompson, coming to be with us today. You know how we do on all of these things. You know, if you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on if you're just listening on the podcast on Apple or Google, go ahead and subscribe there because we drop these every Monday just to kind of help out the community, help out us as musicians and creatives. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. We out. Holla at your boy.